Some say peace is the absence of war, but those who survive know the truth. Peace is the memory of those who died, so others wouldn't have to.
In the dead silence of 3:23 a.m., the sky above Denver split open not with lightning, not with rain, but with the hollow hum of something vast. And alive a warship blacker than space, veined with pulsing blue light, descended over the city like judgment. Passed down from the star sirens, howled power grids, exploded within 6 minutes. The entire western United States was plunged into darkness at a secured hangar near Buckley Space Force Base. Captain Jordan Riker, Hayes stood alone. Beneath the flickering emergency lights, his eyes locked on the burning skyline. The horizon boiled red. A silent tremor passed through the earth beneath his boots. Seen war before, fought in the Arctic offensive. Watched men freeze to death with weapons in their hands, but this wasn't war, this was annihilation. A voice snapped through the intercom behind him. Captain Hayes, enemy craft spotted over I-25. They've breached the outer perimeter. Riker didn't hesitate. Get me in the air. Sir, those aren't fighters, that's I said get me in the air. He barked, already hauling his flight suit off the wall across the base. Sergeant Tessa Monroe stormed through the command center, barking out evac orders. Her movements were sharp. Deliberate, pure military instinct. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Not since the message had come through the deep signal decoder. 4 words in cold, emotionless alien syntax. Phase 1. Erase the defenders. She didn't flinch anymore. Not after Reno, not after Marcus, her fiancé, died in Riker's arms 2 years ago. When a probe the size of a truck cut through their platoon like wind through paper, his blood had stained Tessa's dog tags. She'd cleaned them. But the stain never left her hands. Now she watched the sky burn and swore the next alien she saw wouldn't walk away above the clouds. Riker's jet screamed into the night. "This is Eco 1, he said, voice crackling through the coms. "I'm going up." "Riker?" came Tessa's voice in reply, low and sharp. "Don't be a hero, Fall. Back if they outgun you. We're all out of heroes, Tess." A beat passed. "Copy that," she muttered. "Just don't die before I tell you how much I hate you." Riker allowed himself the faintest smile. The mothership loomed above the city like a god. Not a sound escaped its hull. It hovered in silence, swallowing the sky, then without warning it lashed out. 3 stealth jets exploded in perfect silence. No debris, no fire, just flashes of white light. And then nothing. Riker dove into the smoke. His targeting systems lit up. He fired 2 missiles, launched. They hit and bounced off. What the hell? Then he saw it, a pod, small and fast, detaching from the mothership like an insect breaking off from a hive. He locked on Echo 1 to base. "Target isolated, I'm going in hot." The missile hit dead center. The pod spiraled, trailing burning plasma. Riker followed it, his jet slicing through the firestorm above Denver. The crash site was surreal, a golf course. Of all things, the green was in flames, trees twisted inwards, like they were blowing. Riker touched down, heart pounding in his chest. "This is Eco 1, crash confirmed, sending visuals." He froze. The pod hissed. A hatch slid open with a high-pitched wine smoke billowed out. Then movement. A figure emerged, graceful, slow, not a soldier, not a machine, a woman, tall, slender. Her skin shimmered with a soft silver blue glow, as if lit from within. Her eyes deep violet, luminous, unreadable, fixed on him. She raised a hand, not in attack, not in surrender, but in greeting. Riker didn't lift his weapon. He stared. She was alien, otherworldly, breathtaking, but there was no fear in her face, no malice, only recognition. And in that moment, Riker didn't see a threat. He saw a question. Why was she alone? Why hadn't she killed him? And why had the warship spared only her? By morning, the sky had stopped burning, but for Captain Jordan Riker, the real fire had just begun. He woke with a groan, cold metal biting into his wrists. His arms were chained to a steel chair in a dim, reinforced bunker. The lights overhead flickered, casting long shadows across the room. His head pounded, and a sour taste coated his mouth. Across from him stood Tessa Monroe. Smile, no warmth, only steel in her eyes, and a sidearm at her hip. "What the hell is this?" Riker snapped, yanking at his restraints. "She's gone," Tessa said flatly. "Who?" "Then don't play dumb." She stepped forward, slapped a file onto the table in front of him. Pages spilled out, satellite scans. Encrypted logs, command override reports. Lixa, his heart stuttered. No. No, she wouldn't. She did. Tessa spat. She used your access codes to break into the vault, took the pulse core Riker's breath caught. And then she did this. Tessa jabbed a finger at a grainy satellite image, and unmistakable. Signal flare, alien in design. Launched skyward from Colorado A. Varnick's signature, she called the mothership. Tessa said, voice cracking beneath the rage. Right from our goddamn soil. Riker's mouth went dry. She must have had a reason. Oh, she did, Tessa hissed. She played you, Riker, she kissed you. Cried in your arms, and while you were dreaming about peace? She was planning the next attack. He closed his eyes, but he didn't believe it not. Entirely not, yet somewhere in the wilderness, she stood beneath the pines, Lixa, barefoot, bloodied. Wind whispering through the needles above her, the pulse core trembled in her grip. Its glow flickering like a dying star her violet eyes were wet with. Tears the wind caught her whisper. Forgive me, she said to no one. You don't know what I've done. Hours later. NORAD war room. Beneath Cheyenne Mountain, the war room was chaos flashing. Red generals shouting over one another, technicians scrambling across keyboard terminals. Live feeds poured in from across the globe. 3 Varnick's warships had breached Orbit 1. Over New York 1, over Tokyo, the third and largest, hovered above the Colorado Rockies, and in the center of the room, Riker stood in chains before the Joint Chiefs. You said she wanted peace, barked General Harlow. You vouched for her. She did want peace, Riker said quietly. Eyes locked on the trembling images. Then why are my satellites watching half the planet light up like a goddamn Christmas tree in hell? Behind the crowd, Tessa stood rigid. She said nothing, but the betrayal in her gaze was sharper than any blade. Riker didn't answer, not until he saw Ida, small ship racing toward the mothership. One heat signature 1 pilot Lixainside the rogue ship her. Hands gripped the stolen human vessel's controls, blood soaked through her uniform from a wound in her side. She winced but pushed on, guiding the shuttle through hurricane force winds. The pulse core in her lap pulsed irregularly. Don't fade, she whispered. Not yet. Ahead, the mothership stirred. Tendrils of metal and light unfolded, curling open like a monstrous blossom. They did not destroy her, they welcomed her. Earth Command, she's going back to them, Tessa growled. No. Riker whispered, eyes narrowing. She's going to kill them. Suddenly, alarms flared. Unauthorized launch. A technician shouted, Sector 7 hangar. Tessa turned too. Wait, Riker, no. But he was already gone to Stormfront skies. Riker's jet roared through thunderclouds, tore apart beneath him. Alien ash rained across the canopy. He spoke into the encrypted channel, voice raw. Lixa. If you can hear me, don't do this alone. No answer, only static inside the mothership. The obsidian corridor gleamed. Lixa limped through it. The pulse core cradled to her chest. 2 towering Varnex guards stepped from the shadows. They bowed. She did. Not, I seek the speaker at the heart of the ship. A figure emerged, not man. Not machine, a being of light and bone. Shifting like fire, trapped in glass, its voice echoed with terrible calm. You return, child, as we foresaw your rebellion was. Curious but predictable, Lixa stared it down. I didn't come to explain myself. Then kneel. I didn't come to kneel either. She slammed the core into the control pillar A. Pulse of white energy burst outward. The speaker shrieked. Lunging toward her, its limbs wrapped around her frame. You would die for them? It snarled. No. She gasped. I would die for him, and then the core exploded above. Riker saw the shockwave. His jet rocked violently, then it caught flame. No. No. He spiraled, tumbling toward Earthfire wrapped around him. He screamed darkness. Silence, then pain. Riker woke in the wreckage, both legs broken. Smoke curling into the sky beside him. Lixa crawling, half-conscious, her skin flickered. Losing stability, caught between forms. You idiot, she whispered, dragging herself closer. I came for you. He croaked. Of course you did. That's the problem with humans. She reached him, her fingers brushing his cheek. I didn't betray you. She breathed. I know. I had to get the core inside the neural core, but the speaker. It didn't die. Then we finish it together. She shook her head slowly. I can't, but you can. She pressed something into his palm, a glowing shard. This is the key, she whispered. Insert it into the heart spire, the neural root. It'll collapse the fleet. You'll come with me. No, I was made for war, you're meant for more. He stared at her, tears welled. I forgive you. He said, for my brother. She smiled barely. That was always your weakness. She kissed him and then she dissolved into light-gone epilogue, the last mission wrapped in scavenged armor. Riker hobbled across a dead plain. The shard pulsed faintly in his chest. He was headed for the Heartspire. Buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, the final command hub of the Varnek's fleet. One last chance to save Earth. Tessa watched the satellites. Something's happening. She said all Varnek's forces were converging on Colorado, protecting it. Riker, she whispered, you're still alive. Inside the Heartspire, Riker limped through alien corridors. He found the central chamber. The speaker was waiting, half broken, glowing with fury. You are the one she chose. She died to stop you. She died in vain. The speaker attacked Riker. Fought back, limping, bleeding, determined. Finally, he reached the neural core. Lixa. This is for you. He drove the shard in nothing laughter. You were never enough. The speaker growled, then the shard pulsed. Lixa's voice echoed in the chamber. You underestimated love. The shard bloomed, responding to Riker's DNA. The core ignited, the speaker screamed. The entire Heartspire shook above Earth. The Varnek's warships fell one by one. Victory and death. Riker collapsed beside the core. His cum flickered. Tessa, it's done. Get out of there. I can't. He closed his eyes. Lady stood in a field. No pen, no wound. Lixa stood before him, smiling. You found the heart. She said, you were mine, he answered, and you were more human than any creature I've known. Rocky Mountains. 6 months later, the air was crisp and still. The wind whispered over the ridges like a song long forgotten. Snow dusted the granite cliffs, softening the scars left by war. Nestled between the charred remnants of once hidden bunkers, a monument now stood tall, silent. Sacred carved into its obsidian face were two names, Aaron Kane, Lixavaye of the STARS beneath them. Etched in delicate silver script, peace born in blood will bloom in memory. A small crowd had gathered that morning, survivors, soldiers, civilians. A few children too young to understand the names, but old enough to know the world had changed. Among them stood Tessa Monroe. The wind played with the edge of her coat. Her eyes were distant, not focused on the monument, but on the past, the fire, the loss, the man she never truly got to say goodbye to at her side. A little girl clutched her hand tightly. Riker's niece, no more than 8 years old. Her jacket was too big, her boots mismatched, but her eyes held the same storm Riker once did. She looked up at Tessa, lips parted in hesitation. Did he really love an alien? She asked. Tessa didn't smile. Instead, she knelt level with the girl, her voice steady, warm, firm. No, she said. The child blinked. Confused, Tessa's gaze didn't waver. He didn't love an alien. She pointed to the monument, to the second name. He loved a soul who reminded him what it means to fight for something worth saving. The little girl nodded slowly, though she didn't fully understand. Not yet, but one day she would. Tessa rose, looking back to the mountains, to the sky. Above, empty now, clear and blue, and somewhere in that silence, the echo of a promise remained.